Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Darko, founder of Health Mastery, and here today I'm with one of my clients, Matthew Smart. And Matthew has been with us for a bit longer than 4 months now, and he's gone
hmm
through the program and he's got amazing results. And I just want to share his results. So, Matthew, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just tell us a little bit about where you're from, how old you
Mm,
are, what you do,
Sure.
so people know.
Okay, I'm 39 years old now. I grew up in the U.S. I was in Chicago before I moved to Seoul. I've been in South Korea for 6.5 years now, and my background is economics and finance. So I've done high frequency trading for a long time. That's what I moved out here to do. I was trading derivatives for a local securities firm here. Um, and then Yeah, so that's kind of that's sort of my background. It spends a lot of time sitting, a lot of time staring at screens, and that took a toll on me over the years. And I've always been pretty active and pretty not maybe not fit, but at least relatively thin. But I noticed over the years I kept getting my weight just kept edging up little by little by little by little until it got to the point where I was just really uncomfortable with it, and I knew that I wasn't taking care of myself, and I knew I'd kind of let it slide. And I noticed, you know, as I was getting into my later 30s, like my metabolism was definitely slowing down. Like I didn't, you know, weight didn't just peel off like it used to. Like there were some changes happening that way too. And yeah, it kind of reached a breaking point. I got to the fattest I'd ever been in my life. I was just touching like 81 kilograms. Um, and I think when I came to Korea, I was probably right around 70, somewhere around 69, 71 kilograms, somewhere in that range. So over the course of, 6 years, I put on 10 kg. That's quite a bit,
Yeah.
it's quite a bit of weight. And I'm not particularly tall. I'm 175 centimeters. So that's not a huge frame to carry that much extra weight. And so I felt it. I felt it I felt it when I moved. I felt it when I sat. I felt it I felt soft and doughy, and it was just uncomfortable. Yeah. So, so I reached out to Aaron. Um,
So, go on, carry on.
yeah. So we actually met at a work conference when I was it Chiang Mai?
Yeah.
Yeah, we met in Chiang Mai, and we had a nice conversation, and I just remember talking to him and um, thinking, okay, this guy's like seems to know what he's doing when it comes to health, and like takes care of himself and all that stuff. And like I said, as I got further along, I'd tried some other stuff on my own, just working out. I did, like I said, I was always pretty active. I did kendo, like Japanese style fencing. I used to do that 5 nights a week. I did yoga for about over a year. Did that 5 nights a week, but my body was like strong-ish and flexible. I wasn't losing any weight either, though. And I kind of just
Mm.
stayed at this same level. It was good for stress management, but I wasn't getting like my body wasn't changing the way I wanted. And I got a gym membership and done some lifting, but I didn't really remember, like I'd only really lifted. I mean, I lifted a lot when I was growing up. I was playing sports, and it's been a long time, and like my
Yeah.
body's different, and what I'm trying to do is different now. And so I thought, like, I need to get something. I need some help with this. I'll get some help. And so I reached out to Aaron and talked to him about the program, and went ahead and decided, let's try this and let's try to make an adjustment.
I'm
And
curious.
that was in the
Sorry.
spring, right? That was
Yeah.
in the spring. It was in
Yeah.
March, I think.
Mhm.
April, May, June, somewhere like that. March, April-ish. Right.
I'm curious though, why didn't you just go to the gym and hire a personal trainer?
Well, I did go to the gym, but I didn't hire a personal trainer because I saw the personal trainers there, and I watched them, and like I just didn't think that they were going to help me with what I wanted. Uh, Partly just because I was watching what they were doing, and that didn't really it wasn't what I was really aiming for. But more than that, the thing was that I realized that I developed some bad eating habits too. I like it was a combination of I didn't really know what I needed to be eating, um, and I developed something that was quite new to me. I'd started eating because of stress, which I used to have the opposite effect. When I was stressed, my appetite would go to zero. I would just drop, and I just wouldn't eat much most of my life. And then coming out here. Um, that somehow changed. And so I developed some pretty bad eating habits. I was eating way too much like cold cereal. I was eating just way too much garbage food, snacks and junk food, and not real meals, and not really taking good care of myself that way. And so I wasn't looking for just like I want a good workout. I was trying to find a better way to take care of my health in a more global sense. I wanted to improve my diet. I wanted to fix this, the sort of the bad habits I got into with eating. And I also wanted an effective workout routine. And I was looking for something that was going to be much more long-term. You know, we talked about it continually throughout the program. I'm not looking for results next week. I'm looking for something that I can do over and over and over for the next 20 or 30 years in terms of like guidance to like make sure that I'm healthy and I'm taking good care of myself. That's way more interesting to me than shedding a few pounds quickly and whatever, you know?
Yeah. And
so that was kind of the thought.
Yeah. So I remember the first time we spoke on the phone, when you reached out to me and you were talking about how you sometimes eat cereal at night because you don't know what to eat, or you eat like, you know,
just lazy. Yeah. I just didn't want to do more dishes. Right.
Yeah. So how did that feel when you were in that, like thinking back now to the Matthew before you enrolled in this program?
I mean, I guess the biggest thing is like, you know, when you're not taking care of yourself, like, you know, when the decisions you're making are not really the great for you and you're just doing it out of some other, again, it was either a combination of laziness, lack of motivation, lack of organization, you know, like I wasn't doing a great job at like organizing shopping. So I didn't have like good stuff to eat in the house. And so I'd come home and I would grab, you know, if I had milk or I'd grab some cereal on the way home and then pour it in a bowl and then done, right? Dinner and done, and be like, yeah, but like, I knew that wasn't a good meal, you know? And again, like, I think, you know, we talked about this a lot too. I never wanted like to be like, I never eat X food. Like, I don't think that's not my goal. Maybe that's some people's, it's not my goal. But so like having once in a while doing something like that, I don't think that's fine, but it became a habit. It became, I think I told you this story when I was trading. I was trading 2018, the spread between Bitcoin in Korea and Bitcoin in the US. And I basically would sleep in 2-hour shifts twice a day. And literally the only food I bought all month was Special K and milk. Like, friggin' disaster.
Wow.
Right? But I would eat that for when I was hungry. That's what I ate. And it was a combination of fatigue. I was tired. I was pushing very hard on these trades, trying to make as much money as we could during that time period. But I was incredibly lazy when it came to food. And I washed nothing but a bowl and spoon that entire month. And that's what I ate. And I knew it was terrible for me. And, but I did it, you know? And, but had that kind of like approach to my health had become not an exception. It had become the rule. And that's, you know, that's not sustainable.
Right. Definitely not.
Yeah. So.
But it's interesting you sharing that now, because I feel like there's lots of people watching who can resonate with your story, because a lot of people are like that.
Yeah, people. I mean, again, you get into bad habits with food. It's easy to do, you know.
So what changed after you enrolled in the program? Like, what could you share? What results?
Well, the first thing that I really remember, you know, the first month or so, we didn't do a whole lot of exercise at all. We talked a lot about nutrition, and this was something that for me that I really wanted. Actually, I found it frustrating. I'm not going to lie at times. But I, you know, one of the first things was tracking everything I ate. And just keeping track. What did you eat? And not really worrying too much about what you should be just yet, right? Just being like, what are you actually putting into your body, right? And then that let me look at, okay, well, what do I need, right? And am I getting any of that? Or how much of it am I getting? And that kind of led to the next step of like, okay, let's eat less of these things and more of these things, right? And We definitely reduced the carbs that I was eating. We increased the protein that I was eating. Um, and it was it was a good process. Like I noticed, I can't remember exactly when I started to feel results, but like physically, but like it was relatively quickly and noticeable, and just in general, like um, my body felt better.
Mm.
You know, my body felt better. We talked a lot about, oh, that's the other thing we talked about a lot, was feeling satiated and not feeling hungry, and snacks. We cut snacks and said, look, we're gonna eat two big meals and focus on the protein in those meals. And that was a really big um, help for me. And it worked really well for me. Maybe not for everyone, but for me, 2 meals a day, um, and just cut the snacks out entirely. And that was great. And like the transition was a lot easier than I expected, a lot easier. So
Yeah, that's awesome. And also, I remember the time when you told me about your suit, because on the first call that we had, we
yeah,
spoke
yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
yeah, sure. There were a few issues with my suits. Um, as I got fatter, I remember I sat down once and literally shot the button off the pants, which was, and it was ridiculous. I shot across the room. I was like, oh my gosh. Um, but like I could feel it. Like for me, like when I put on weight, I'd feel it in my thighs and my around my belly, and so like my suit would get uncomfortable. And I wear suits a lot, and so that was not pleasant. It was this constant reminder of like, you've let this get too far, you know. Um, and now my suits are, honestly, they're a little loose. Like I have to kind of push my belly out to get my belt cinched up so that I can keep it, like, I could probably take them in a little bit,
Mm.
um, and that feels much better. It's much more comfortable.
Yeah. And let's talk
Yeah.
about the ease of maintaining it as well, because I remember you mentioned before. I remember when you went to Thailand, and
Hmm.
you told me something. And you said before, if I went to Thailand, I would have eaten all this crap, and then now I know exactly what.
Yeah. Yeah, so like, there was a couple things that really came from the nutrition part. And one was just becoming way more aware of what was in the food I was eating, you know, and because I just like, I'm not a picky eater. I eat everything. Like I've eaten, if you can think of it, I've eaten it. I've eaten live squid here. I've had raw horse sashimi in Japan. I've eaten dog here. I've eaten across the board. I've tried it, and I like to eat a variety of food. So like when I eat, I really never thought about what was in it. I was just like, does it taste good? Great, sign me up, And so, which is good for traveling and living other places, but not necessarily great for your health. And so
Yeah.
the one of the adjustments was that now, like, I still eat a large variety of things, but I know much better of like, what am I consuming? Like how much sugar is in it? Well, Thailand is a great example. I wasn't paying attention to how much added sugar was in everything. And and so I remember once I'd gone out there. I think this was before the programs. I started the program. I had been, my weight had been coming down a bit. I was like, okay, this is good. I went to Thailand. I put it all right back on. And I literally couldn't figure out why, because I hadn't, I didn't think I'd eaten that terribly. Like I wasn't sitting down. Like I didn't feel like I was like stuffing my face or whatever, but I was eating like, I mean, everything. Pho they add sugar to, and everything they add, pad thai they add sugar to. Everything out there has like added sugar in it and stuff, and it all adds up, right? So, um, yeah, but that's been helpful because now I'm not tracking everything I eat the way I was, right? I don't really log it like I used to. Um, but I have a pretty good, but I've got much better like sense of like how much a portion is, and like that feels more intuitive now where it didn't before.
Mm.
And then that's let me like, again, I have a better sense of like where to watch for sugar, where to watch for like stuff that like you can have a little bit, but if you do too much, it's going to really like, it'll throw off your diet, it'll throw off your nutrition, and you'll your body will respond accordingly. So I think that's been pretty good. Um,
Cool, man. So what about the the other results, like other areas of your life? How has it affected, for example, like your confidence? Um,
Um, well, I mean, I think when your body feels good, you carry yourself different and you act different, right? So, I definitely noticed that, especially as my once we started adding in the route, the weightlifting and like the workouts, right? Um, my body looked good. I was really happy with the way it changed, and it felt good, and people noticed. Like, people talked to me, and my friends would be like, "Matt, like, holy cow, like you've been working out, like your arms look good, you're thinner, people were constantly like commenting on it, which yeah, it felt good. It felt good, you know. So
and the main thing is like, do you feel like it's been sustainable? Like, is
yeah,
it
it's been
sure?
sustainable. As you know, that, like, I got that elbow injury,
Mhm.
which has been quite painful, and it's taken a long time to heal. It's finally, I still have certain times where, like, I'll move a certain way and I'll lose strength, and it's still weak and still recovering, but it's mostly better now, and I'm excited. Like I said, right now I'm going through a bunch of changes in terms of my routine and I'm moving and all this other stuff. So my life's a little unstable right now. I'm going to be on the road for the next month, basically. Um, but I'm very much looking forward to getting that routine back to where I had it and where I liked it. It's a little off right now, right? I'm a little off from where I would like to be, but in terms of like maintaining um, the basic, like, the in terms of, like, I think maintaining my nutrition, my weight has been way more stable, um, and than it was. It used to fluctuate a lot more, and it's settled back down into, when it changes gradually, and I can go, oh, that's kind of heading in the wrong direction. What am I eating right now? What am I doing? How much am I, like, am I exercising enough? And I can make adjustments, and it's much more gradual fine tuning than, like, swings, which is good.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, yeah.
And you know how to do that, right? Like, you don't need me
Yeah,
to,
that's
to adjust it now.
exactly. And that was one of the other things that you and I talked about from the beginning, is that, like, I want to know how to do this for myself. Um, just because it's part of maintaining yourself and taking care of your life, right? So yeah, like, I've got a pretty good idea of, like, again, food wise, I feel comfortable in terms of what I need to be eating, what I need to focus on, and what I need to just be careful around. Like I said, there's nothing that I won't eat. I don't have anything on my list of, like, this is an absolute no. It's just a frequency and quantity question, right?
Mm.
For me, and that works well for me, I think. And then in terms of the daily routines and the exercise, like I said, I'm anxious to build that back up more. I'm still nursing this injury a bit right now, um, but I've got a plan in place, and I'm excited.
Awesome. So what would you say to someone like on the fence in the position that you are in, like not sure about it, like,
Hmm.
what would you say to that person?
Yeah, I mean, I think these sorts of decisions are always personal, so you've got to, like, look and see. I told you when I started that I was making changes whether you were on board or not. I think you
Yeah.
remember, right? Like,
Yeah.
this had that there was a point where this had to change for me, um, and so I think this is a program that can help you if you want to be helped. You know,
Mm. Yeah.
so yeah, you know,
So would you encourage people if they're in a similar situation to where you were to
yeah.
actually take the leap or?
Yeah, this is, I mean, like I said, I definitely got results, and not just in terms of, like, physically. Like I said, I lost 10 kilograms, right, over the course of that. And I put a little bit back on now, partly because that's the bottom of my cup. I dropped a full 10 kilograms. And that was okay, but I think my body's a little happier with a little bit more right now. And like I said, I may consider, like, once I start get my workout back where I want it, I'll probably, I may readjust that. But now, again, I feel like I can make decisions about where I want that to sit. Where before it was just sort of like, I'm fatter today, or. So,
Right.
I like that. I mean, that I think has been really helpful. And you and I talked about that. We did, I had dropped quite a bit of weight, and we said, okay, well, but it was started slowing down the cut, and we're like, oh, well, let's just hang out here for a little bit, let my body kind of readjust. And then we did it. I did another cut a little bit later, and it worked really well. And again, like I like that. I feel like I have that control. So if you're like trying to get a handle on what's happening with your body, I think this for me worked very well. So I think it's a good thing to give it a go. And I would also recommend the fact that it is a much more complete picture of your health. It's not just I have a trainer that I work out with once a week, 3 times a week, 5 times a week, right? We spent a lot of time talking about the other side of, or another part of your health, which is, diet and nutrition. And I think those are really important components too.
Yeah. And we also spoke about sleep too, right? Like,
well, we spent a lot of time talking about sleep. We spent a lot of time. It's not something I'm particularly, I struggle with a bit. I'm not great at it.
Yeah. Yes.
But we talked about that a lot too, and trying to figure out how to build that into your system and like into your daily routine, and just making it a priority. And I think I'm much better at that. I monitor and check how much have I slept, and if I've not gotten good sleep or enough sleep, I try to schedule in more, and before I was mostly oblivious of how much I had or how much I needed, it was just a function of if I could keep going, I did. And if I ended up sleeping all weekend to make up for it, that would happen sometimes too. Right. So,
yeah.
But that's, again, I just think I have a much better, grasp of what my body needs and what I'm like, how well I'm taking care of my body.
Yeah. So you'd say it's worth the investment?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's worth the investment.
Is there anything else you'd like to add? Anything you want to share with people that people need to know?
I mean, I think like you and I talked about this a bit, and I think it's relevant. Like you get out of it what you put into it, So I I tried very hard to be on every group call. I tried very hard to make sure that was part of the routine, was that we checked in and talked about it. I tried to post when people said to post, keep up with all of those things. Just and I mean, you and I talked about this too. Like for me, it's not a huge I didn't feel a huge motivation for like to be part of like the group necessarily, but it did help. I think it helped other people. And it also just became like, it was good to have it as a task to check off the list, to be like, okay, like I've done this, I've done that. It made you feel more accountable for what I was trying to do. But I think if you're consistent with the way it's laid out, you'll see good results.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I just want to acknowledge you, Matthew, for first of all agreeing to do this, and second of all for committing and showing up. Like Matt showed up pretty much every single week for 4 months. Or even longer than that, right? Like you've been showing up consistently, and that's why you got the results. Like a lot of people, they join programs and they still don't do the work.
Right. And that's I think the biggest thing for me is like I guess my biggest point of encouragement for people, if you sign up for this, do it. I give it a shot. And I guess I sort of approached it as like, I'm going to put 90 days into this and let's see what happens. Right. Like I came to you because what I was doing wasn't working the way I wanted it to. So like, you and I had this discussion about cholesterol. Right. And I was like, well, what you're suggesting doesn't seem to be what I've heard at all. Right. But I've like, 90 days isn't going to kill me. I'm going to go ahead and try it, see what happens. And then I'll have a data point. So I'd done a blood test shortly before I started the program. I saw my cholesterol levels. They tend to be a little high in my family. It was part of what I was concerned about. I shifted to a much more protein rich, much more red meat diet. But my cholesterol came down. And I did another blood test, 90 days, roughly 90 days towards the end of that first part of the program, because I wanted to see. And, but for me, there was an improvement. I had lower cholesterol. My body felt better. My weight had come down, so yeah.
That's awesome. That's good. Good that you shared that for people, because that's a huge one, like the myths about nutrition and stuff that
Yeah. I
people
mean,
believe.
yeah. And I'm not gonna lie. I didn't believe you. I didn't,
I know
I
you
was like,
didn't.
no, I was like, well, this goes against everything I've ever heard in science. So what's the chance that this is right and everyone else is wrong?
Yeah.
I'm going to go probably pretty close to zero, but hey, like I said, it's 90 days. Like if my cholesterol is the same, then it, whatever. If it's higher, then I'm going to reevaluate. I'll probably find someone else to work with or figure out something else. And if it's lower, then I'm going to let's reevaluate this, and it was noticeably lower. So
yeah, that's interesting you shared that, because most people are skeptical, especially online. Like there's so many
Sure.
people out there that are not genuine and stuff. So it's good that you shared that, because it's real.
Yeah. And I totally didn't believe you, and not even for a second. I was like, that can't be true. It can't be true.
Yeah.
And I thoroughly expected to go take the blood test 90 days later and be like, well, my cholesterol is off the charts.
Yeah.
And then you and I I was planning to have a discussion with you about it and be like, hey, what the fuck, man? So, yeah.
So are you glad you took my advice?
I am glad I took your advice. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, Matthew, it's been great having you on, and appreciate
Absolutely.
you doing this. And this is going to be beamed out to millions of people, and your story is going to be shared with loads of people. And I feel like a lot of people can relate to where you were. And
yeah, I think so. And appreciate your help on this.
Yeah. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, guys, if you want to get in amazing shape, if you want to get those results, you want to finally have confidence in what you're doing, what you're eating, when you're traveling, having confidence, just like Matthew has when he's going to different places. He knows what to eat, when to eat. He knows how to adjust his weight based on his food, based on his sleep, based on his workouts. Then you need to go ahead and go to callwithaaron.net and go ahead and book your free call and just get on the call, similar to what Matthew did. And then we can see what you're at, see what you're struggling with, see how to help you. And then if it's a good fit, then we'll invite you into the program. And then in 4 months, you could be making a video with me about your results. So this is important stuff we're talking about. Health is the number one thing. If you don't have health, you don't have anything. So go to callwithaaron.net and book your free call, and I'll see you soon.